Hey everyone, Josh here, WarGamingNewb Historical, back with another hobby vlog. This time it is a historical project progress grab bag. I'm going to be going through some stuff that I worked during the week, some things that I'm just very proud of being able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. Usually it takes me forever to do painting on models, but I got a little bit inspired by some of my colleagues that have been showing off their work, and I felt like maybe I should just jump in and show off a bit of what I've been working on. So we're going to go through a few things here. We're going to do a little bit of SPQR, very little bit. Mostly bolt action or bolt action related, like Conflict 47. And then that's going to be pretty much the gist of this particular video. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. So I want to start off with Hail Caesar SPQR. I only worked on one figure, but this figure had been sitting on my desk for quite some time, primed and partially painted. I kind of just pushed through, based everything, painted everything, and now I have Vercingetorix all painted up. Now, you guys may have seen the short that I had. Let's see if I can get this to focus. For this figure, in those shorts, I don't really talk about what I did to paint the figure up. As you can see, this was actually painted in Games Workshop Wraithbone, so you get kind of like a nice warm off-white, and the colors just pop a little bit warmer when you paint them. Mainly Talasar blue for the tunic, a Wizard's Orb from Army Painter for the shield. I actually painted kind of like little Gallic designs. They're not painted very well because I'm not that great of an artist, but from far away, it looks pretty good. Got some Army Painter brass, and then I'd use some Army Painter speed paints, mainly the red for the cape, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah. Painted the wings of his helmet white, obviously, and then used Apothecary white to kind of get that gray detail in there so that it darkens up the wings and gives it more depth. But yeah, very happy how Vercingetorix came out. Probably going to do the rest of the heroes for the Gauls, or the Celtic heroes. That is Vercingetorix. Pretty awesome. All right. So, bolt action is a big part of this channel, and I figured I actually had this model sitting around for over a year. I think since the release of the bolt action 2-player starter that's set in the Pacific War. You know, I didn't like the half-track that came in that set, so I decided to get an LVT A1. And this is that vehicle. This is a Rubicon model. And again, like I said, I've had this for a long time. It's actually just sat in army green primer for the longest time. And really, the only thing that I did to this was to have the decals on there, paint anything that needed to be black or metal, like these railings right here. I don't think the tow cable in the back. And really, it was just several coats of strong tone wash to kind of get that weathered look, as if it was just dried mud or dirt from landing on the beaches of the Pacific War. So, very happy to have this done. I actually have crew, but they don't fit very well, especially with the way that I put the 50 cal turrets. They're supposed to sit in here in the two canopy, I guess canopy areas, whatever they're called. But they just don't sit well because of the way that I place these models, so I'm not going to actually use them. I did buy a stowage set, but it's actually for the LVT 2, the water buffalo, I think that's what it's called. So it wouldn't fit very well with the LVT A1 because this is, again, an AM tank. This is infantry support. I mean, I think historically it did carry troops in it, but, you know, obviously this is more of a infantry support when storming the beach. So I'm actually very happy with the way it turned out. The weathered look looks great. I'm sure there are a few things on here that I can fix, but overall I could actually start using this. And this particular vehicle will actually seg into my U.S. Marine project, which I'll talk about in a few weeks. So, yep, there's that. As you know, I've been working on 8th Army and Africa Corps, setting up for a firefight and then eventually a 500 point battle. I've shown off the 200 point firefight platoons. And obviously building up from that, from each of those, you want to throw in some vehicles. I think for the Africa Corps, I actually have a Stug, early war Stug that's going to be in there. But I needed something that would equal the punch of the Stug, or at least offer heavier support for the squads. So that's where the British M4 Sherman comes in. Again, I actually had this sitting in skeleton bone primer for about 4 months. And then I decided, you know what, let's get some decals on this. Let's put some weathering and then get it painted up. And I think she turned out great. I actually wanted to put more decals on here, but I suck at putting decals on. It's very problematic for me. So I was actually lucky to get the ones that I have on here, the symbol on the turret on both sides, and this one actually overlaps with this piece of armor right there. And obviously I have an icon here. It looks like a skunk, and the number 175, and this is mirrored on the back, on the tail here, as well as the name Andrea on the stowage over here. Now, I don't know if that's historically accurate, but I wanted to put something else on the tank other than the few markings that are on here. And you know what? She turned out pretty well. I'm very pleased with this. The next step I want to do, because I actually, this Sherman was from the Tank War British starter that has a bunch of Churchills in it. It has a Firefly in it. I think the next thing I'm going to work on for the British, and this will be for the European theater more than the North African theater, is the Firefly. I want to get the Firefly in there. Even though they did use the Fireflies in North Africa, I want to have a mid to late war European theater vehicle for the Brits, since I have the Berlin or Bust 10-man squad. So I'll do the Firefly for that. But anyway, I am actually very happy how this Sherman came out. All right, next up are 3 of the 10 guys from the Berlin or Bust British infantry squad. Got these done up. Probably saw the video with them in there. I finally finished the bases. So here's the Bren Gunner right there. And then just a guy with the rifle and bayonet. He's reaching in his pouch here for ammo. And then we have the NCO with the Sten gun. So, all right. Yeah, pretty awesome to have these guys. All right, so I had to pause the camera a bit because I wanted to get these figures out. They are still curing because I've just washed them. So these are Conflict 47 Soviet armored Mark II officer and bodyguards. Very cool aesthetic. Again, used Russian green for the main armor. Did some gold highlighting and a little bit of silver here. And then I gave them red because I wanted the models to pop a little bit more, having a kind of like an opposing color on there. So I covered I painted the helmet of the officer red, because you can see that they are quite different. Let me zoom in here a little bit. So this denotes the officer. So I wanted to give his helmet a different color opposed to his bodyguards. And then obviously their wrist-mounted guns, I painted red as well. And then you got those gold accents there. In fact, the hammer and sickle are gold. I don't know if that's clear. Nope, it's not going to clear up any further. But in any case, yeah, wanted to paint these up real quick because I figured it's going to be an easy paint job. Again, it is Russian green with red highlights and gold highlights. A little bit of metal, like on the joints here and the hydraulics. But yeah, not a complicated paint job on this. Used a different variety of basing. I actually have Liquitex like sand, and that's what these two guys have. And then I have one of the technical paints from Games Workshop. I forget which one it is. I'll link that up above, which give it more of a cracked earth look, but I kind of like the Liquitex sand a little bit more. Basing is not quite finished, but I wanted to show these off. I love the way that the Russian green pops. I used Army Painter Military Shader for the green, which really deepens that green color that's on the armor with a green shading, and then obviously strong tone for the red. But that is the last of what I worked on. I'm just going to put everything in frame here, hopefully. So there's Vercingetorix, the 3 armored Mark II Soviets. We have the Sherman, and then obviously the LVT A1 AM tank. So that is what I worked in this past week. I think that's a good, that's a bit of good progress for painting. The next hobby vlog, I'm actually going to talk about my hobby progress for bolt action British 8th Army. And in fact, this Memorial Day weekend, this is being filmed on a Friday, going to be shown on Saturday, but on Monday the 31st, Memorial Day weekend here in the US, I am going to be filming the firefight between the Afrika Korps and the 8th Army. So I will hopefully have that up by next week, and you guys can enjoy that. So yeah, that's it. Lots of fun stuff this past week. It looks great on camera here, at least in my eyes. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and click like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I appreciate it if you would. Click the bell notification icon to get notified of all new hobby vlog coming out of the channel, and then click the link in the description below to join our Discord server. That's the best way I can personally interact with you and chit-chat you about bolt action, SPQR, and any other game that we cover on the channel. That's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more hobby vlog from WarGamingNewb Historical.